Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. Hey all, it's Marco from Random Door Media, back with another video on the game Rising World. So in the video that I put out previously, we took a look at the Rising World, what's called the new version. This is the new version 0.5.0.1, in brackets, 6. So we took a look at the newest update, which is the terrain generation and larger bodies of water. While I was making that video, there's two things that I pointed out which I kind of want to go over right now. First, I mentioned how in the previous version of Rising World, when you would dig, the areas used to be very dark regardless of the sunlight conditions. Here's an example of the previous version of Rising World. So here's like a hollowed out area. Despite the fact it's only a couple feet deep, it looks dark. So when I turn the lighting on and off, you can see how dark it looks. Here's like a tunneled out area, same thing. Despite the fact the sun's out, it always looks dark. So that's what I was referring to in my previous video. Next, I made frequent mentions to the spiky hills, how the previous version doesn't really have mountains. So this is what I was referring to. It's just like the hills in the game were like just these spiky hills. They weren't, in my opinion, what I would consider mountains. That's what I was referring to. Now with that out of the way, let's take another look at the Rising World new version. This is version 0.5.0.1, and we're going to take a look at the terrain editing options, like when you're in creative mode, and also want to take a look at the boats, because the update said there's boats you can make, and I want to test out how the boats work on the water. So let's jump into that. Here we are back in the new version of the Rising World world. First, we're going to take a look at the F number functions. So F4 brings up your inventory or access to your equipment. That's where you can go into your inventory and take a look at what you have. And then by pressing the number keys, you can select the number slots at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. F5 brings up the terrain tool. The very first option is to raise and lower the land. Left click will raise and then right click will lower. Whenever you have a tool, the red area indicates the area that you're going to modify. You can increase that or decrease that by using the minus and plus sign on your keyboard. So make it bigger, left click will raise it, right click will lower it. Or in this case, sorry, it doesn't lower it, it'll just sort of dig out the area. Then we'll go into the second option, which is the flattening tool. So now when you run this around, it'll just cause everything to flatten out. It'll sort of smoothes everything. So if you choose a bigger area, it'll smooth out a bigger area. Looks like it will accommodate... No, at first I thought it was going to change it to your level, but even when I'm on a higher level, it still lowers it to, I guess, what it is before. Let me try a higher area. One thing I did notice when I was playing around with this is if you lower an area under like a tree or boulder, it'll cause that to fall. So if I dig out this area under the tree will fall. And if you dig out under the boulder will fall and shatter. That's a nice little touch. So the smoothing tool will flatten the terrain. Then the third option on the right is the paint tool. In the upper right corner, you notice right now it's set to stone. You use the mouse wheel to scroll through all the different options, and then you paint the landscape that. For example, right now it's set to forest grass. So now if I left click, it turns that area into forest grass. I'll use a smaller area so I can demonstrate more. Try something a little more different. Dead grass plain. Just the ground is dead grass. Grass arid. There's a lot of grass options. Default grass. Oh, here's the different ores. So there's gold, tungsten, iron, coal, and so on and so forth. Oh, there's even cobble. That's kind of neat. Hellstone, and then there's underwaters, ice, snow, rubble, sandstone. All these different texture options for your land. Even farmland. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So next one, it's starting to get dark in here. Hold on, I'll see if I can figure out how to change the time. Okay, yes. It was just that the tilde key brings up a dialog window where you can just type in a command, type in time, and then enter the number for the time of day. There, that's how I changed the time back to an earlier time. So now we're going to go to the fourth option, which is the area selection tool. So we're going to select an area. Then you can also use the keys on your keyboard, page up, page down, to like change the depth, like the height of the area. And then you use the mouse wheel to once again choose the terrain type. Then right click to change to that. So for example, I'm going to just select stone, right click, and boom, it turns that selected area into stone. That's how you can change the terrain on a big area. Then I imagine if it's something that you wanted to make a bit more realistic, you can go back to the smoothing tool and like just change it if you wanted to edit it up a bit. Or something like that. Oh, something else quick. F2 puts you into fly mode. Very simple. I actually remember that from the previous versions of Minecraft again. Previous versions of Rising World. It was like a muscle memory for me to press F2 to go into flying mode. So next we're going to check out the water. Now, if you saw my video on the Mior playtest, you'll notice that I was pretty impressed with the water physics. I liked how you were able to like dig out an area on a higher elevation and then put water in it, and then the water flowed down to a lower elevation. Well, in this current version of Rising World, it has something similar, so let's kind of run that test. So I choose the water option, and then I pour water in here at the top. See, water appears, then it flows down. I got a little dam there. Yeah, there, and the water flows down into the smaller area. It's not as smooth as it was in the Mior playtest, but the fact that it works, I'm pretty happy with. And there's like little puddles left behind simply because I didn't make it like a perfectly smooth shoot there. Let's just take a look at that again. Put some more water. And then it flows down into the lower area. Pretty nice so far. And of course you can make like a big area and just like fill the whole thing with water. And just like with the terrain though, right click will delete the water. So I can go through here and oops, I got all this water here. I can go through and delete the water using the same red circle selection area. Like that. So then number 6, tool only works on water surfaces. Yeah, it looks like it expands the water, like it's creating more water. And 7, the 7th option, looks like it allows you to create an area. So that's the area that I selected before when I created that big slab of rock. Is there a way maybe if I go back 4, I can select another area? Okay, how do I select a different area? Oh, let's just say I wanted to select this area here. Then you go back to 7, and then and then right click, and that fills it in with water. And it looks like the water spreads out too. That's pretty nice. Those are some options to change the terrain: raise, lower, smooth, paint, change a whole selected area to certain terrain options. You have all the different terrain features like grass and stone and ores and so on, and even adding water. That was all under F5. Let's take a look at F6. Under F6, there's vegetation placement, and you'll notice that on the right-hand side, 2, 3, and 4 are currently grayed out, and if you try clicking on them, the tools aren't available yet. So right now, there's only the option to place vegetation one at a time. So we can place this item, and then just like before, the scroll wheel selects through different options, so you can choose a log, which I like how it conforms to the terrain. So it'll actually it'll actually go diagonally when it's up the slope, and you can even have like a log crossing over the log. I like that sort of kind of physics. There's placing it vertically. So what else we got? Rocks, iron ore, a hollow tree trunk, small rocks, lots of small rocks, various types. Oh my goodness, more tube sponges, which of course are a underwater thing. More tube sponges, sponge, seaweed, coral of different colors, pillar. That's a lot of underwater plant objects. Well, coral, sorry. That's a lot of underwater objects that you can place. More coral, brain coral, more coral, different types. Wow, they must what if the ocean is decked out with this kind of stuff right now? Because that's a lot of underwater options. There we go. Okay, dead willow oak, weeping beech, all the different types. So you get the idea of how this all gets placed and how to manipulate everything. Just look at all the options. Spruce 2, dead. Spruce, dead. Red maple, London plane dead. Hickory, bush. Apple tree, dead. Acacia, dead. Like, there's all these tree options. A young willow oak sapling. Weeping beech. There are so many options. That is a lot of plants. Cactus sapling, birch. Some of them I can't even pronounce. Ooh, like palm trees. There, so those are all the vegetation options that are under F6. F7 is the removal tool. Now, unfortunately, this I haven't figured out how to actually work. I can select an area, but no key that I press manages to deselect anything. So I'm going to try option 2. We'll go into the one that specifically says to remove vegetation. So we'll try to remove, like, maybe this tree. So the area is selected. Left clicking just changes the area. There we go. So right click and got rid of the vegetation. Let's see what else we can remove. Will it remove grass? I don't think so. Let's try. No. So I'm right clicking, nothing's changing, so I don't think it will change the grass. Let's try the tree again. Here, the tree's in it. Right click, boom. Tree is gone. Remove construction elements. I don't have any construction elements, which are like the building things. Remove objects, which I don't have, unless any of this counts as objects. Will that stone count as objects? No. Try the very first one. There we go. Okay, so the first one will take care of those objects, like the stone. If I wanted to get rid of any of these, select the area. Right click doesn't do anything on that. That counts as an object. Weird. I change the size. Interesting how some things count as objects. Those don't, but those other logs did. Okay, so that's under F7, so you have the option to remove. F8 currently has nothing. This tool's not available yet. F9, I think, I played around with this for a bit, and I think it's for multiplayer only. The idea is the first option, you select an area, such as that, and then you go into the second option. Let me go back to the first one. Select an area. So right-click, you notice at the bottom there's a percentage bar saying creating area. There, so now that area is created. So you can create an area. Then you go to the second option. The area lights up green. If you right-click while looking at the option, you see a wheel appear with things like set name, claimable, show the name, default permission, add a player, remove a player, delete the area, set priority, and so on. Set a new name. My area. There. So in the bottom left, you'll see that when I go into that area, the name changes to my area. When I move out, it changes back to wilderness. Then you can right-click on it and delete it. And which is also, you have to hold down in order to do. Boom, the area is gone. Okay, that are all the creative tools that are currently available. If you want to build something, then you go back to F4, back to your inventory, bring up the inventory, go to crafting, and then you can make whatever you want and you just get it. Like, you don't need the tools. So if I wanted to start building, and I wanted to make something out of this brick, select on it, give yourself 10. You only have to give yourself 1 because you don't, when you place it down, you don't run out of it. So I'm just going to see, select the shape, and then all these options come up. So I'm going to just choose a default cube and then craft the item. Now you go back into your inventory, and there it is. So it's under my 4, so now when I choose 4, the block appears, a grid appears, showing where I can build items. And just like the previous version of Rising World, you can hold down your mouse and drag it out, and then you have a little counter tells you how many spaces. Once you're ready, or once you have it where you want it, right-click, places it down. Of course, if you were in survival, you'd be limited by the number of blocks you had in your inventory. In creative, you just get to build. And this way. Like so. Is there a faster... Oh, what? Okay, what are these options? Scale precision, rotate precision, rotate mode, pivot mode, collisions are on, load preset, save preset, flip mirror, surface edit mode is off, texture scale, and move precision. So that came up when I held down the C key on the keyboard. What other options do we have here? So I got my normal movement. Oops, Q is drop an item. Okay, it looks like E brings up the crafting. Good, so that we don't have to go to the inventory and so on. We just go right to here. I want to check out the vehicle soon. Maybe I'll do that in this video. Maybe on the next one. I'll see. Oh, wow. One of the things I loved about the previous version of Rising World were all the furniture options. If you've seen my recent video on Minecraft furnishings, I was kind of disappointed how a game like Minecraft doesn't really have anything like tables and chairs and so on. Rising World definitely didn't have that problem. Rising World had quite a bit of furniture available. this is the newer version, so of course it doesn't have all the ones that the previous version had. Okay, so maybe I'll check out the boat and go for a ride, possibly. If so, I'll add it to the video. I might see it in a bit. Welcome back. Okay, I have now figured out how to make one of the boats. So I made the inflatable boat with the outboard motor, pretty straightforward. I'm now out on a body of water next to this beautiful beach, which I'm kind of thinking it'd be a nice place to put up a cabin. It's got this beautiful bay here with some hills nearby. Beautiful body of water. So I'm in the boat right now. It's the outboard motor style. So you can take a look at it here. So you press F, which is the default interact, to get into the boat, and then I starts the engine, which you can hear, and then forward, left, and right controls the boat. So let's just go for a quick jaunt around the bay here. Once, of course, because I'm in creative mode, I don't know if that's why there's no gasoline required or fuel. Perhaps when the game is fully released, then of course it would probably require fuel, which doesn't require that right now. See, if I was going to build, like, just in creative mode in this area, I'd make like a big bridge expanding this water here. Or maybe even build like a seawall or something like that. Okay, so we've done a circuit of this area. I'll head back to the beach and I'll show you how I built the boat. It did come in several components. Once I figured it out, it seemed pretty straightforward. So just right up here, and I had to turn off the engine and escape to escape from the boat mode. So in the crafting, I chose the inflatable boat. Down on the right, select variant. Choose the rigid hull, craft that. Inflatable boat, craft that. Outboard motor, craft that. Then place them all down. You can go here to place the first part. This is where I had some difficulty because kept conforming to the angle of the ground, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be a problem, so I had it partially off the ground. Sorry, partially out of the water, I mean. So to rotate that, use the arrow keys on your keyboard, and that will allow you to rotate it. Let's just get as close to the water as I can. It's as flat as I can. I guess maybe we'll try smoothing it out. Let's try what we learned before and try to smooth out the land here. Try to make like a flatter place to put it. See if that helps. Okay, so I'll put it there. So right click, hold down, placing component. Then selecting the next part. Hold that down, place component. And then the outboard motor. There. And that creates the boat. And the sun's setting again. I'll be right back. There, so that's how you make the inflatable boat. There's also the rowboat option as well. So let me try this one. So there's the frame. And the kit, storage, paddles. Okay, so they're all there. Huh. Okay, so there's the base of it. We'll rotate it like that. Place that. And choose the next component. Storage might be optional. Okay, don't be so. We do need the paddles next. There we go. Now it's a complete boat. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's where the storage goes. So, fix that in there. Okay, now, this is where tricky, getting it out into the water. Okay, looks good. Jump in. That's forward. Oh, turn around. Maybe I should have aimed it the other way. Yeah, let me get out of that and try again. Shove this one out of the way. And I'll move the train. Now let's try it again. Bonk. There we go. Okay, so now we have a rowboat. It's got that, like, jerky motion of a rowboat. Yeah, it looks like your character's actually rowing it. I see a hand on the oars. Moves pretty decently. And the update said they're going to be adding large vessels eventually, too. There we go. So today we went over the F number key options to alter the terrain, and then we figured out how to construct the boats and went out for a little spin around the bay. So what I might do is I might play with the building construction some more. Maybe I'll build something and we'll come back and take a look at it. Or I might just do a showcase on all of the options that are available. I'll make like a little area to show off all the blocks and craftable items and so on. So that's going to be it for this video. So if you want to see more Rising World, leave a like, leave a comment. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. Take care, everyone.